non-artistic art. Is it possible to consider art as non-artistic? And first, what do I mean by artistic? Usually artistic is beautiful, decorative, emotional, spectacular. These qualities are usually expected from art, but personally, I don't think that art has to be artistic. And I will give you some examples of non-artistic art in the form. Of course, the black square by Kazimierz Malevich doesn't require any artistic talent to be realized. It's a geometric form, is not artistic at all. There is a kind of artistic mysticism in this painting. It's an absolute and symbolic gesture in painting's history, but you don't have to be an artist to realize this geometric square. So it cannot be considered as an artistic novelty or artistic object. The second very simple example, of course, it's the bottle dryer by Marcel Duchamp. You know the story of the bottle dryer, but I don't have to repeat it. Why is it not artistic? For the simple reason that it's an industrial object chosen by Duchamp for its banality in a store. So usually works of art, artistic works of art, are not chosen for their banality in a store. And you know that the first bottle dryer in 1914 was thrown in the trash by Duchamp's family. And when Duchamp knew that the bottle dryer was in the trash, he didn't care about it. He let it there. So, the bottle dryer you see here is just a bottle dryer. But what do you think of this one, which is in the collection of the Centre Pompidou? Usually, this bottle dryer, which is signed by Duchamp, is considered as a ready-made exactly like the first one I have just showed you. But it's not true. This bottle dryer hasn't the same status. It was very carefully built by a craftsman who followed instructions given by Marcel Duchamp in 1964. It's not an ordinary object bought in a department store. It's a real sculpture representing an old bottle dryer which did not exist anymore in 1964. Marcel Duchamp with his bottle dryer was exactly in the same position as the artist Jean Renoir, who at the end of his life was unable to sculpt himself. He was unable to sculpt himself, so he asked an assistant to make his sculptures under his control and to be signed Jean Renoir. Duchamp did exactly the same. The bottle dryer is a real artistic object, this one, which is an edition. An art critic in 1964 said to Marcel Duchamp, well, it's a shame to do a sculpture of the bottle dryer. It's not a ready-made at all. I am very disappointed. And Marcel Duchamp said to him, I don't care what you are thinking about it. If you dislike it, it's not my problem. I don't want to be locked up in the box of the ready-made. So, the idea of the ready-made, which is not at all the idea with this bottle dryer, Marcel Duchamp in 1964 didn't care about it. This bottle dryer has nothing to do with the first non-artistic ready-made bottle dryers bought in the department store. Marcel Duchamp in 1942. This is an installation for a surrealist exhibition organized by André Breton. Duchamp was asked to prepare an installation that would be as economical as possible. Among the cheapest materials available was string, which is really a non-artistic material, of course. The visitors had many difficulties to find their way to the paintings. And Marcel Duchamp's purpose was to stop the visitors from seeing art. This was his non-artistic point of view for the exhibition that he organized, because André Breton asked him to organize it. But it was a non-artistic position by Marcel Duchamp, because it was so difficult to see the paintings of the show. Daniel Buren was not always the artist in situ that you know. In 1967, Daniel Buren bought this piece of fabric in a department store, exactly like Marcel Duchamp bought his bottle wire in the department store. Here, Daniel Buren presents the zero level of the painting. Just two white strips were painted by the artist in white, so the two last already white strip was painted by Buren in white, and you cannot see it on the photo. So the paint by Daniel Buren did not change anything of the material. At that time, Daniel Buren was not exactly the same as today. He was a revolutionary and anti-capitalist artist who wanted to take all artistic interest away from the painting. He was in fight with speculative art, and that is the reason why he refused to propose attractive paintings, because attractive paintings could be bought for investment reasons. This painting was sold for a very cheap price, and at that time, Daniel Buren wished that it couldn't worth more in the future. But, of course, it's exactly the contrary which happened, because if we bought this piece of fabric for $100, nowadays, you know the price of this kind of painting, I can tell you, it's $200,000, at least if it is 1967, of course, one of the first ones. Do you know this piece by Daniel Buren? It's difficult to know it because it is hidden by the picture of Picabia. The picture of Picabia is covering it completely when it is put back on the wall. So this piece of fabric by Daniel Buren can never be seen by the visitors of the exhibition in our National Museum of Modern Art, where it is exposed because it's in their collection. And this work of art has to be considered with this other one. Several flags are located very far away from the museum, on the top of several roofs in Paris. Daniel Buren reveals and criticizes the ideology linked to the places where his pieces are shown. These two pieces, the one underneath the Picabia and this one on the roofs of Paris, present new relationships between the works of art and the museum who bought them. New relationship also with the spectator. What's very interesting with these two pieces was first, that only very few directors of the National Museum of Modern Art wanted to include these pieces in their collection. Most of the directors thought that it was really impossible to buy two works of art which can never be seen by the visitors of the museum. And they had to be convinced of the interest of these two pieces by the other very few directors who wanted them absolutely in the collection. So these discussions were very interesting and are part of the work of art. But now, the pieces are bought by the museum, and what the visitors expect. When he is in the museum, he knows that there are two pieces by Buren, but he doesn't know exactly where they are. He has to drive them out during his visit. These two pieces are not visually obvious. This one outside the museum can only be seen with a telescope, and you even don't know where is the telescope to see it. And the existence of the other one, underneath the Picabia, we know the existence only because there is a label which gives the description of the piece. So the first one informs on the Picabia picture, and the second one just tells us that underneath, and you can't see it, there is a bureau. Four invitation cards in 1972. The first invitation card, as you can read, Paul Menz invites you to an exhibition by Robert Barry at Art and Project, Amsterdam, during the month of November 1972. We received this card in October from Paul Menz, who is in Germany, and it was announced that the exhibition will exist the next month in another country, in another gallery. So we knew that we had to wait until the next month, but in November, when it happened, we received the second card at the Art and Project, who announced that the exhibition will be located at Jack Van Blair Gallery the next month in December, and in London. We wait until December, nothing happened in the gallery, but we received the third invitation by Jack Van Blair, who announced that the exhibition will be located at Leo Castelli in New York. And in January, same story, we received an invitation card by Leo Castelli to announce that the exhibition will be located at Yves Lambert Gallery in February and in Paris. There were four other invitation cards by MTL Gallery, Toselli Gallery, Speron Gallery, and back to Paul Menz. So this was an exhibition which was supposed to go from place to place every month, each time in different countries. But in fact, this exhibition never took place. It never really existed. We only were invited each month to mentally follow the travel of the artist Robert Barry when he visits his galleries all around the world during 1 year. You know the statements by Laurence Wiener. This is a statement I bought in and out. And when I had it, I decided to present it with my initiative. I did not ask Laurence Wiener how to put it on the wall. I preferred to write it on the store window, because the store window for me is the boundary between between inside, in, and outside, out of the room. But I wanted also to present it in a non-artistic and not material way. So very bien quelque part. In the program of the galleries for their openings, I announced in 1988 the presentation of In and Out by Laurence Wiener, and for this exhibition, it was presented in this supermarket. Nothing was written on the wall. Nothing was modified in the supermarket. There were no objects, there were absolutely nothing. All the store products remain in their real places, and the very presentation of the announced Wiener statement consists only in the comings in and goings out of people doing their shopping, or visitors to the opening, searching for the tangible product that the art spaces and the art market generally offer, but they search it without success. So they got in and out, and again in to find this object they didn't find, and again out. So after that, we told them that by going in and out, they did the statement of, they interpreted the statement by Laurence Wiener. So here, I've presented art in the form which I think it's truly its own, that of the concept, and by asking when is there art and how can it be presented or made, we slip from the aesthetic of the art object to the aesthetic of the concept, a concept, of course, which is not artistic at all. This process is inscribed in a larger reality on which it depends, and more, I think, the revelation of the art context is more important than the art itself. There was nothing in the supermarket. I have nothing to show, and I am showing it. This announcement was my participation to a group show of artists. With this announcement, I wanted to explain that I could not propose any concrete or material work of art for this exhibition. I was asked to lend a work of art of my recent collection. But as I am not interested anymore in art objects, I couldn't present a work of art as an art object. They expected it, but it was not possible for me. What interested me was to elaborate a collaboration with artists and to produce immaterial works of art which can be put into practice, like discussions, comportments, attitude in life. So, for this exhibition I had nothing to show because there were only art objects in this group show, and my announcement was accepted as a personal show inside the catalogue, not in the place of the group show. Art is of minor importance. I think that you don't think that art is of minor importance. But if you look all over the world, well, I'm sure that you will think that there are many priorities before you consider art production. Before art, the most important things in life are human, political, and economic issues. That's the reason why I put this piece by the artist Miguel Eguenia on the window of my apartment. My apartment was located in the district of the galleries and in front of our National Museum of Modern Art, the Centre Pompidou. And in the streets of this very cultural area, the passers-by, completely devoted to art because of the galleries and museums, had to think about this announcement, art is of minor importance. And in front of the Centre Pompidou, art against AIDS is useless, put condoms. In 1995, the artist Olivier Blancard proposed this banner as a work of art. At that time, the art world used to organize public sales and dinner to get some money for medical research against AIDS. And with this banner, Olivier Blancard wanted to remind us that the essential point was not to organize festivities to get money, but really to protect ourselves against the disease. And this banner was considered, and it is, a work of art, but doesn't look like an artistic work of art. Place de la Concorde, in the center of Paris, ACT UP installed a huge condom on the Egyptian obelisk. It's a kind of composition, artistic composition, which could have been created by a young artist for an international art show. It's like a huge art object. But this is not the case. It was done by an initiative of ACT UP, which is an association which is not composed by artists. Their purpose was not to create a work of art. So you can see that nowadays artists can propose pieces which don't look artistic, like the banner of the artist Olivier Blancard and different examples I presented to you. And on the other hand, anyone can be creative and produce art even if he or she is not an artist. And then, in 1970, art is useless, go home. It was his own exhibition inside the gallery. So people just saw the banner and they went home, back home, and instead of going inside the gallery and see his exhibition. So the French artist tried permanently to get rid of art, but he doesn't succeed. He's always saying that he doesn't want art anymore, but he's doing art again. An image comes to mind of a wild, ideal space that more than any single creature may be the archetypal image of the 20th century art. Here is a photo of my apartment in 1992. In the 70s, Brian O'Doherty used to criticize the white cube in our galleries and museums. But personally, I like empty spaces. And as a collector, I chose to live in this white space because in my mind, art is not only composed of objects. Art is not only shown in the art spaces like galleries, museums, or collectors' apartments. Art has to be included in the real life, so outside the galleries, outside the museum, outside my apartment as a collector. Art has to be included in our social context. I have no art objects to be seen in my art agency, which is also my apartment, because as an art collector and as an agent of art, I prefer a nice environment and a beautiful lifestyle to any art object. Thank you for your attention.